We'll begin in 1 minute. Okay, is everyone ready? We'll begin. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. The time is 5:30 p.m. Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Counselor Johnson is absent. Motley?
Here.
Paulson?
Present.
Beyondich?
Present.
Bachschneider?
Here.
Friedlieb?
Here.
Cuffey?
Present. We do have a quorum today. Please stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We'll move to item 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone from the general audience that would like to speak and address the council this evening. If you wish to do so, please come forward at this time. Please state name. Thank you. Please state your name for the record and welcome to the city council meeting.
Hi, my name is Amanda Wilson. I'm a labor rep with AFSCME 65. And I'm here tonight on behalf of Local 454 to speak to concerns our union has with the job description for the Human Resources Coordinator, which I believe is item 9.1J being considered at the council tonight. As you are aware, our union represents a position titled Accounting Clerk 2 Payroll, which is a full-time position whose core responsibilities are payroll and benefit administration for the city. This position is held by an AFSCME member, a union officer, and a long-term city employee. In discussions about the need to create the new Human Resources Coordinator at Personnel Committee, the council acknowledged the amount of work, of human resources work previously performed within the scope of the Finance and Human Resources Director job. Because of this, the council elected to divide this job between two positions, including a human resources portion or position due to the scope and the amount of work required. And yet the job description before you now also incorporates much of the work being performed by an existing full-time job in addition to these human resources responsibilities. This seems to be a complete contradiction from the stated purpose of the new position. In other meetings, at least one counselor has stated that this was necessary to include the work of this payroll or accounting clerk payroll because payroll is confidential, a term defined by PELRA, which does not include payroll functions. The same counselor also claimed that a union employee should not or may not perform this work, which does not acknowledge years of service and history, and the fact that countless entities in our county and our state have union employees performing this function. We're here today to address our concerns, including that this change is unsupported by law or current need and could cause the council to, one, create a new overburdened position that has an excess of duties and work, creating further issues within this stretched thin department. Two, potentially lay off a current long-term employee. Three, create a grievance over the violation of the contract by outsourcing unit work and potentially other unfair labor practice charges. And four, cause delays in filling this important position while these challenges are resolved. We will challenge any action passed tonight that outsources payroll work from our unit, and we hope that you will address these concerns and solve this issue prior to posting the position. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before the council this evening? Seeing no other anyone in the audience that would like to approach the council, we'll move to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval correction of the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 meeting. 5.2 is the adoption of Finance Resolution number 25-011, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3 is to approve pay estimate number 13 to Kraus Anderson Construction for the Public Safety Center in the amount of $1,738,922.36. Item 5.4 is approve pay for the following estimates as recommended by SCH, our engineer of record. 5.4A, approve pay estimate number 1 to KGM Contractors for the 2023 street improvement project in the amount of $396,865.44. Item 5.4B, approve pay estimate number 1 to Utilities Systems of America for the 2024 street improvement projects in the amount of $919,008.44. And item 5.5C, approve pay estimate number 1 to Casper Construction for the Rotary Park Sewer and 7th Street Storm Sewer Project in the amount of $219,968.22. Item 5.5 is to approve the solicitor's license for the Carl Rips doing business as Southwestern Advantage to sell educational books. Item 5.6 is approve the transient merchant license for Jerry Stockset doing business as TNT Fireworks. Item 5.7 is to approve the following travel requests. Item 5.7A, Tyler Rooney from the Police Department to attend the Emergency Vehicle Operations Course Refresher Hybrid, July 21st to the 22nd, 2025 in St. Paul, Minnesota at a cost of $707. Item 5.7B, Troy Mealy from the Police Department to attend the Emergency Vehicle Operations Course Driving Precision on September 8th, 2025 in Hibbing, Minnesota at a cost of $212. And item 5.7C, Chief Nicole Matson of the Police Department to attend the Emergency Vehicle Operations Course Driving Precision June 24th, 2025 in Hibbing at a cost of $200. And finally, item 5.8 on the consent agenda is to approve the temporary liquor application for Brewfest on August 16th, 2025, contingent upon submission of the required paperwork. These are the consent agenda items for the council today. Looking for council action.
So move.
Councilor Boxsnyder moves to approve. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. I'm sorry, Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I need to pull item 5.2, the schedule of bills, and I need to abstain from that.
Okay, is there something specific that you want to speak on behalf? So we'll go from, we're approving 5.1, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, and 5.8. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion on those items? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Paulson, item 5.2, adoption of finance resolution number 25-011, the schedule of bills.
Thank you, Mayor. I just need to abstain as my daughter is being paid for figure skating coaching.
Okay, very good. Councilor Paulson has disclosed of abstention due to a family conflict. So it has been moved and supported to adopt finance resolution under 5.2. Is there any further discussion? We need a motion to approve item 5.2.
So move.
A move to approve by Councilor Beyondich and supported by Councilor Boxsnyder. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with one abstention. Thank you. Item 6 is appearances. This is, there's no one scheduled before the council tonight, so we'll move to item 7 on the agenda, which is unfinished business. And we've taken care of that unfinished business that's been on our agenda for such a long period of time, and congratulations to the council for doing so. Item 8.8, discussion items. Item 8.1 is approve the second reading of the ordinance amending Chapter 11, Land Use, Section 11.02, entitled Definitions.
So move.
Move to approve by Councilor Boxsnyder. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2, approve the 2025 law enforcement torch run on Monday, June 16th, beginning at noon.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Bachschnider and supported by Counselor Beyondich, or is it the other way around? Who has supported it? I saw three people make a motion, so who was the motion maker? Counselor Beyondich makes the motion, supported by Counselor Motley. Thank you. Motion by Counselor Beyondich, supported by Counselor Motley. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.3, adopt the resolution setting a public hearing to vacate the alley between the Washington Manor parcels 090-011-02910 and 090-010-02990.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Motley. Further discussion, Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So was this in one of the HRA meetings that they are vacating, recommending vacating? Or how did this, did we discuss this at the committee of the whole? No.
They were trying to record the sale of Washington Manor. They found there's a vacant or a vacated alley that runs right where the Washington School is, straight north of L&M, or the old L&M. There's an alley that goes through that was never vacated, so we couldn't transfer the property because there's a not vacated alley. So we need to vacate that alley that the Washington Manor building sits on so that we can transfer the property.
Okay. And then there'll be, so it's a first and a second reading before the transfer happens then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to set a public hearing for that, discuss it. And part of that public hearing may be additional discussion with respect to the vacation of additional part of that alley down there by Lynn's Body Shop in that regard, where it comes all the way down there. They'll be making a request for that coming in the near future. Need a motion to set the public hearing and support. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may bring up something else really similar to that. There is another alley, another street that will need to vacate soon. On 3rd Avenue, there was a road called Crescent Avenue that actually goes underneath Bailey's Lake, that we have minutes saying it was vacated, but we have no reference that it actually was vacated. It wasn't recorded at the county. So that's coming up very soon too, that we'll have to, with the property that we're selling to the Neffs that are building the single-family house, to get them the property, we have to do that same vacation soon here too.
Yeah, that's that property down there by the Bailey's Lake.
Yes,
Okay, very
yep,
good.
yep.
Thank you. So two,
That one's coming, just put it on your radar. Crescent Avenue coming also.
okay,
It's
very
never
good.
done for some reason. Same with this one. That school's been there since 1920 and it was just never vacated.
Okay, thank you. Item 8.4 is planning and zoning meeting that was held on June 2nd, 2025, to consider the following variance requests. Item 8.4A, Dennis and Pamela Matson, 412 Chestnut Street, to allow for an additional 2 signs per principal entrance. And where one is allowed for a total of 6 signs, and to allow for 23 additional square feet for a maximum of 185 square feet, where 64 square feet is allowed. So this is 412 Chestnut Street, and this is what business?
The new Arrowhead. Isn't it the new Arrowhead?
Jenny?
The new Arrowhead.
New Airhead, thank you very much. Thank you.
So moved.
Yeah, moved by Counselor Freely, is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Bachschnider. Is there any further discussion? I talked to Dennis earlier. He says he hoped to be open by July the 4th, so stay tuned. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4B, Connie Christensen, 224 4th Street South, to allow for a front yard fence of 6 feet, where 4 feet is allowed.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4C, Walter and 7 Midway Drive, to allow for an additional sign at the principal entrance where one is allowed for a total of 4 signs. and for 37.50 additional square feet for a maximum of 113.50 square feet where 64 feet is allowed.
So moved.
A move to approve by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4D, Mariah Templos and Jose Solis, 1001 13th Street South, to allow for a front yard fence to exceed the 2-foot allowed for the first 20 feet on a corner lot, and to allow for the front yard fence to exceed the 4 feet in height allowed, with the condition the front fence will be at the iron fence, as well as the first 20 feet of the corner for visibility, and the back fence on 10th Street can be a privacy fence.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support? Is there support by Counselor Motley? Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have some questions regarding this, and I read over the minutes from Planning and Zoning. And this is on a corner, and it's going to be allowed 6 feet. Is that correct, when it's going the full 6 feet?
Yes, with a chain link fence visibility. Is that correct, Jenny?
Mayor, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Paulson. It'll be 6 feet in height at the 20-foot setback. So the first 20 feet on the corner, if you can imagine, will be the lower setback with the, like a wrought iron type fencing that you can see through for visibility on the corner. And then the remainder will be a paneled fencing, and then to the back for security.
And the wrought iron fencing, what is the height on that one?
4 feet.
4, okay. So it won't limit visibility on that one?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting that was held on June 3rd, 2025. Buckle your seatbelts, it's a long one. We'll turn this over to our city administrator, Britzy Bennis. Britt?
Thank you. On June 3rd, at our Committee of the Whole meeting, we had Mr. Alex Peretz and Vic Lund from St. Louis County present to discuss the overview of the Hoover Road and Borgen Road exchange, as well as the MnDOT future project to be located at Highway 53 and County State Aid Highway 102, which is our 9th Street North. With the swap between Borgen Road and Hoover Road, there's going to be a slight decrease in state aid funding, as the mileage for Borgen Road is slightly a bit bigger than Hoover Road. And Vic Lund did explain that he did verify with the state of Minnesota that the Borgen Road project that we have active transportation grant funding on right now, that they're redoing that alignment there, is still eligible to be done, even if the county does take over the ownership and nobody's got to pay anything back, which was a real big concern. After some more discussion regarding the realignment of 9th Avenue, 53, and Road 102, it was moved and supported to allow staff to continue to work on and present the final agreement for the Hoover Road and Borgen Road Exchange Agreement, and I believe it's in your packet today. Resolution, page 67.
I'll move the resolution to execute the cooperative agreement.
Counselor Freely moves to approve the agreement. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
John Lewis and Pat Wirtz from Kraus Anderson and John McNamara from Wold Architects are present to discuss the Public Safety Center project and the update on that. Mr. Lewis noted that the ceiling and floor tiles are being installed, as well as plumbing and fixtures right now. The installation of solar panels will begin soon. There's about 2 months left of construction, and then they'll begin moving furniture and fixtures into the facility. It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for change orders COR 46, PR 61 for additional wall anchors as requested by the fire department for an increase in the contract amount of $16,985.77.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Bachschnider. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for approving change order COR 47 PR 62 for welding exhaust, which is to be added to the tool room A104 as part of the fire department request to be able to weld for an increase in the Kraus Anderson contract in the amount of $21,593.26.
I'll move the resolution.
Counselor Motley moves to approve the resolution. Is there support? By Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Sean Lewis discussed that the Kraus Anderson and city staff are working on a list of enhancement items to be put back under the project that were taken off during the value engineering process, using the remaining contingency funds that are left, being that we're only 2 months left for construction. He'll come back with a list very soon. One of them was a security fence that we took out right away, but it sounds like we'll be able to put that back, which would be very, very great. Counselor Paulson, the chairperson of the Personnel Committee, discussed the items from the Personnel Committee meeting held on May 19th, 2025. Counselor Paulson discussed that Chief Mattson presented a request to create a detective of evidence in digital forensics. It was noted that the technology needs are dictating the direction of where the department is headed, as well as the chain of custody of evidence issues with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. It was moved and supported to approve the creation of the position of detective of evidence in digital forensic in the police department.
So moved.
I'll move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? It's hard when 3 people, you know, which one? Well, thank you for everybody for chiming in. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Counselor Paulson noted there was multiple discussions with Public Works Director and the staff regarding the on-call scheduling for the wastewater staff. After many discussions, staff brought forth a recommendation to approve a letter of understanding for an on-call scheduling rotation. This new rotation is an attempt to alleviate the burnout issues with the wastewater staff who are on-call half of the year, as well as helping cross-training for that department. It was moved and supported to approve the letter of understanding with AFSCME for the wastewater collection operators in on-call scheduling rotation.
Move to approve.
Counselor Paulson makes a motion to approve. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Bachschnider. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The Personnel Committee discussed the recommendations from the AFSCME Review Committee. After discussion, it was moved and supported to leave the accounting clerk 3 positions as status quo with no change in job description or wages.
So move.
I'll move to approve by Counselor Bachschnider and supported by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich,
Aye.
Bachschnider,
Aye.
Freely,
No.
Huffy,
Aye.
Johnson is absent, Motley,
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1 with 1 absent. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the update to the Administrative Assistant Parks and Recreation job description duties.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the updated job description for the utility worker at the park.
So moved.
I'll move to approve by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Bachschnider. Is there any further discussion? By hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the updated finance director job description to include the recommended changes in the work schedule regarding council meetings and to approve advertising for the position.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the updated human resources coordinator job description and approve advertising with the update to the advertisement.
So move.
Move to approve by Counselor Bachschnider. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Preedy.
I do recall when we were discussing this at the personnel meeting, that I had a concern with regard to the changes that we were suggesting with the movement of payroll going to this position. So at this point in time, until I have some further conversation, I'm going to not be supporting this at this time.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor Freely. Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Beyondich.
Just a quick question. Would our city attorney be able to answer that question? He's not here tonight.
Which question?
On what was being discussed earlier for this job position.
So what would the question be?
That we are within our rights to do this.
So the question is the payroll part of it is your question?
The position we created, the language.
Are you looking for a legal opinion here?
Just from what Counselor Friedlieb has brought up.
Okay. Well, at the Personnel Committee meeting, you moved this forward, right?
Yep.
So now, you're looking for some clarification from that meeting?
Well, I know he had a question. He's questioning some of the things that are in there. Correct? So it's okay, okay.
It's
Then I'm-
ultimate.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was questioning. He was at the committee of the whole meeting when we discussed it to move this forward, but if you're uncomfortable with any clarity here, if you're uncomfortable moving forward and we're looking for some,
I guess
recommendation from the-
as long as he was okay with what we were doing, then I'm fine with it.
I don't recall the minutes of that committee of the whole meeting, so I couldn't answer that. He would have to answer that question. So right now, it has been moved and supported. We're in the discussion phase. If the council is uncomfortable with that, and we would like some further clarity from the city attorney, it could be tabled until you get that information. But right now, it's been moved and supported. And so, is there any further discussion? Any further motions to supersede? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, please.
Thank you. It was moved and supported to approve the following purchases for the Sprint Medic program: the fire dashboard subscription at a cost of $6,000 per year, the Glide Scope GO2 monitor kits at a cost of $9,659, the Lucas chest compression systems at a cost of $52,236.88.
So item K, A, and B are reimbursable through the Sprint Medic
I
program,
went too far. It's supposed to be K, A, B, K,
A and B, correct.
B, C.
but C is not.
C is not, right. Say
Thank you.
K,
So we're just taking one at a time here?
A, F.
Pam? On K,
Under K, you can approve all of those under one motion,
okay?
A, B, and C.
Okay, with the codicil knowing that the first two A and B are reimbursable through the Sprint Medical program through the legislator?
All
and-
of it is.
They all
of
are?
it is, yes.
Okay, they all are
All
then.
of those purchases are Sprint Medic related.
Okay, I thought he had, the assistant chief indicated that it was not the case with that.
The only thing that's not reimbursable is the two Dell Pro laptops, which is 9.10.
Okay, okay, thank you for that clarification, I
Everything
appreciate
is
it.
covered under Sprint Medic.
Okay, so the motion is for all three.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Beyondich. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
9.1L is adopt the resolution for the purchase of the Lucas chest compression systems at a cost of $52,236.88 for the Sprint Medic program.
Move to approve by Counselor Paulson and supported by Counselor Motley, is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Item M is adopt the resolution to purchase of Zoll X Series Advanced Monitor Defibrillator at a cost of $115,042.66 for the Sprint Medic program.
So move.
Move to approve by Counselor Bachschnider, also the reimbursable expenses or support. Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Moved and supported to adopt the resolution for the purchase of the Hamilton TI EMS package at a cost of $40,626.14 for the Sprint Medic program.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Bachschnider. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Then Deputy Fire Chief Eric Jonason was present to talk about the purchase of 2 laptops and docking stations for the fire department. The current computers that we have in the fire equipment are 15 years old and are no longer working, so they need to replace these 2 computers that just can't wait for the next year's budget. So it was moved and supported to approve the purchase of 2 Dell Pro laptops and 2 docking stations for the fire department at a cost of $6,880.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Bachschnider.
Thank you. Is this different than KC? So K item C. So there's 2 different purchases, so 4 laptops total. Thank you.
2 are for fire, 2 are for ambulance, or Sprint Medic.
And one of them's reimbursable under the Sprint program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? That's where I got confused there, so. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Bob Vos from Kennedy and Graven was present via Teams to discuss the negotiations with MediaCom for the franchise ordinance that we're working on. After discussion, it was moved and supported to allow the Cable Commission to review and recommend to the council any changes in the ordinance before we finalize anything with MediaCom.
So move.
Move to approve by Counselor Bachschnider. Is there support? Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Motley.
And so we only have 2 cable commissioners right now, or, oh wait, I've got it mixed up with somebody else, don't I? We only have 2. So it's not a quorum. Did we have discussion last Tuesday? Okay.
Mayor,
Pam?
we did conduct interviews today. We had a personnel meeting, so we did interview 1 more, so they will have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion regarding the priority list for the legislative funding from the state under the capital budget system. We had the copy of the resolution from 2023 in front of us, so we were discussing funding for next year. It was recommended that council members let staff know of any of the items that they want to add to the bonding bill resolution. I believe in your packet, there is a proposed one.
And the bonding requests have to be in by, they upped it now to
The
what?
13th.
June 13th, so not good for the home team, so, okay.
Just keeps us on our toes, that's all.
Counselor Bachschnider?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm curious if what was the full list that was sent by the council, and then does our city staff agree that these are the best priority areas to be asking for based on the dollar amount that needs to be invested? So would these be like the most expensive projects that we should be considering to ask for? Thank you.
Pam?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Councilor Bachschnider, you were the only one that made a submission for recommendation. So the first 2 are yours, and then Britt and I discussed, and she suggested putting the ladder truck on as the 3rd option.
Okay,
Yes, Counselor Bachschnider.
thank you. When I submitted it, Pam, you had pointed out that the steam conversion project is maybe not the best project to be submitting for if we're going to be starting it early. I was really vague in my answer for street and alley projects due to failing infrastructure, right? Like, I didn't know what ones we would be looking at in this year, and we had a noon deadline, I think I got it to at like 11:45, so I also kind of had waited a little bit, so I don't know if this is just a little too vague for what they're looking for, or if we can be vague and decide later.
Yeah, I think we can do that because we've done that in the past, and then our bond, what do you call it? Our lobbyists, thank you. Our lobbyists will be able to vet that out with, and we can then send some clarity there to the bonding chair of what we need to be doing. So yeah, we could be vague.
Okay, perfect. I feel comfortable then with number 2, leaving it how it is, but number 1 on the list for City Hall steam conversion and Senior Center steam conversion, I think we're probably going to be too late. And so I think we probably want to have a discussion for something else to add to this list if we feel like we want to include 3 things, which kind of seems like the magic number.
And so what we did is, because there's a time frame here, and it's not going to guarantee that we're going to be able to do this, but speaking to the legislators, they don't really know the answer to it either. But we submitted this request for steam conversion for the City Hall at $2.5 million, and it's already in the hopper. It's, even though we don't have a bonding bill, it's in there. And normally, usually, if there's going to be a bonding bill, most of the time those requests or the previous bonding bill will have precedent over any other new bonding requests that come out. It just depends what the legislature is going to decide, what track they want to go, whether it's completely water infrastructure like it is this year or not. So, but yeah, we can be vague and make those decisions. And even though we restarted it, it's because there's such a time crunch to do so. And we did our due diligence to make sure that we had the request in for 2 years, last year and this year. And so they do have a precedent that if you've already started a project, they usually don't fund those. So that's the catch-22, and they can't answer that question right now. So that's a long explanation to the fact that maybe we want to add something else to this list.
Thank you. I think the other thing that I want to note when I sent my priority areas, mine personally, I had purposely left off the fire hall because I don't think that we should convert the fire hall, and I think we should look at other options like Jim mentioned. So that's why I had left that off. I just wanted to let that be known.
Well, I know that we have a lot of projects, and they're going to give us money for the street now. They're not going to bring us those kind of things. So infrastructure projects is moving forward, particularly improvements to the services that the city provides, whether it's water infrastructure, whatever the case may be. And we did have some brief discussion about maybe one of those bonding requests would be some funding opportunities for the new public works facility or an upgrade or a repair or in that regard, because it's, and we could submit a plan moving forward for that to show how dysfunctional that place really is. But that's just one idea we discussed briefly at the last committee of the whole meeting. Yeah, I mean, we can do whatever we want to. We're going to have to submit it by the 13th, so we should have something here.
What do we think our odds are better in?
It's a toss-up. Nobody knows. We don't know. But what do we really need? I mean, many things. But speaking for myself, there's a lot of things we need. What the legislative fund, I don't know. But they've been giving money for improvement of services to communities. We got it, Hibbings got it, Chisholm got one. I mean, they're all over the place. So this is another infrastructure improvement to improve the services that are provided for the health and safety of this community, and that's roads and streets. In order to do that and repair your equipment and provide those services, they have to have a viable place in which to work from, and they don't have one right now. So just a thought. I'd like to see that added. And if it's not something that they're going to go for, then we strike it from then we just don't move forward, obviously, if they're not going to fund it. But nobody knows. And I talked to Mike Jarek, the lobbyist. Nobody knows. And what's curious is nobody, no, I shouldn't say nobody knows, but it's perplexing that all of a sudden we have to have these in by the 13th instead of the 30th. What's the reason for that? The reason for that is because they're going to continue to look at things until June 30th, and then they'll figure that out, but I don't think there's going to be a bonding bill, and if there is, it's not going to be for city work projects, other than water infrastructure. At least that's what the way it stands right now. And listening to the minority and the majority leader today, they're far apart, so who knows? You know? Let's give it a shot. So does anybody have any suggestions of what you want to add to these bonding priorities? Britt, do you have any special requests?
I do think we should try the 6th Avenue and steam plant project,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that that's a minimum of $5 million in year one, and then there's going to be 2 other years of things. I think that might be a really good one to play off of.
That's tied into utilities, so.
It is tied into
so that
utilities,
would
and
be a
they've
good
really
one.
been passionate about water and wastewater projects in the last couple of years, so maybe we can spin that a little bit.
Okay, I concur with that. You're in on that, Councilor Bach-Schneider, Councilor Beyondich, Councilor Freelieb, Councilor Paulson, Councilor Motley. We have a consensus. Let's add that in there. Thank you, Britt. Okay, should we make that our highest priority? Okay, let's do that. Thank you.
And just to give an update, we did submit that same request to all the federal, and I have now heard from all of our federal constituents that we did not get selected.
Yeah.
So it's a good story to tell the state that we did try and we didn't get selected, so.
And it's critical to our utilities moving forward, so that's probably a great project. Thank you, Britt. So we're all concur that would go on there? Okay. Should we leave that as our priority? Okay. Do we need a motion for that? Okay, looking for.
Move.
Adopt the resolution, to adopt.
Move to adopt the resolution with the amended changes.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councilor Bach-Schneider to adopt the resolution with the amended changes discussed here today by recommendation from our city administrator. Is there support? By Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to authorize city staff to proceed with the request for proposals for steam conversion at City Hall, Library, Senior Center, and Fire Hall.
So move.
Moved to approve by Councilor Bach-Schneider. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the date change for the Laurentian Chamber Block Party from June 11th to June 25th.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Beyondich. Is there support? By Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for the cannabis registration fees.
So move.
Moved to approve by Councilor Bach-Schneider. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the registration form and checklist for the cannabis businesses.
So move.
Move to approve by Councilor Bach-Schneider. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, Councilor Paulson.
Mayor, just on page 124 in the packet, just a minor typo. Under preliminary local ordinance compliance, it reads ordinance.
Thank you. We'll make note of that. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the movie production permit.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Bach-Schneider. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question regarding this, and I don't know that we touched base on this at the committee of the whole. What happens if they have to have drones or need drone footage? Do we have any licensing that needs to take place for that? Or should we be, I mean, I would assume if they're going to do filming that possibly drones would be involved. Should we be addressing that part of it at all?
There are some FAA restrictions being, how close to an airport you are, how high you fly them, if it's interferes with the air traffic or the flight paths of any authorized aircraft that flies. But we don't have a state ordinance that restricts the use of those drones. I think there is a privacy thing. There's some case law that indicates that you can't be flying your drones within the city limits and then spying on people's properties. There's an issue there with respect to that. But we don't have an ordinance that covers drones and the control of them.
So if a film company wants to come in and do some filming and do some drone footage, should we be addressing that, or is it just no problem?
Well, I think it probably is get a legal opinion about what we can do there, if there's if there are any laws associated with that, particularly with respect to privacy. And in addition to that, it would have to be permitted to do so. We should check with and get a recommendation from our city attorney.
I'm fine with the way that this looks. It came to my mind after we were having some discussion about drones, and I just thought if this might be something we should put in here, that maybe we could maybe amend it at a later date.
Yeah, and the movie permit, I don't know what that entails. I mean, what does it lay out some guidelines of what, is it just a permit to film a movie? And so then they have to follow the local ordinances and the restrictions by law, what happens. So if we make a change or we have some restriction, they're gonna have to follow whatever policy that we've implemented. But we should look at that. Councilor Beyondich.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, do we have any language or ordinances on the flying of drones over private property and hovering over private property?
We cannot. I just Googled it. Minnesota law does not allow cities to directly license drones. Drones are regulated at federal level by the FAA and the state level by MnDOT.
Thank you.
And I'll give the example some other time. Yes, Councilor Motley.
Just a random question, because a taxpayer reached out, now that we're segueing to drones. They felt like there's a possibility they were being spied on by a neighbor with a drone. Is there anything that I can tell them to cease and desist the drone over there?
I would check.
House?
I would check with the police department, and I don't know. I can't remember the language. It's under the trespass statute, and within that trespass statute, it addresses similar spying or filming or videotaping or those kind of things. If you have a drone flying over there, you're taking a camera. That's one issue, and the other is it could fall under the harassment statute, which is part of that trespass statute under the law, under our ordinance and under the law. So that would be appropriate. And my neighbor across the street, real quick, somebody was flying a drone around her house. Apparently, he lost control of the drone and fell in a tree and smashed all the heck. So, no more drone spying on her.
So would your recommendation be then for me to tell the taxpayer to contact the police?
I would.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, a little humor there. Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to direct city staff to obtain quotes for a financial entity to assist the city with the financial management plan.
So moved.
Support.
Move to approve by Councilor Paulson and supported by Councilor Buckschneider. Is there any further discussion? Do we know what the cost with this could be? We haven't even,
No, I've spoken to 3 firms already, but I haven't got a cost back yet.
okay. Well, we're just obtaining quotes right now, so, okay. Moved and supported to obtain the quotes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to present the balance sheets for revenue and expenses to be reviewed at the monthly financial meetings.
So move.
Moved by Counselor Bachschnider. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
No further items from that meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 10, Commission Liaison Reports. Does any city councilor have a commission liaison or report they'd like to present today? Councilor Freely.
Would that be relevant to street and alley?
Sure, certainly.
Okay. My wife and I were out walking the grandchild today in the 700 block of 9th Street South and saw a citizen who actually is a son of a former mayor of Virginia, Mr. Pearsall. Dr. John Pearsall was out there raking away to clear debris in and around storm sewers in his neighborhood. And I just wanted to commend him for doing that and suggest and recommend and encourage others in town to do the same when they see something needing to be done, to feel free to take the initiative to do so, because it helps the city in multiple ways. So thank you, Mr. Pearsall, Dr. Pearsall, for doing that.
And if I may tag on to that real quick, Lyle Vandervoort and his wife Marcy did exactly the same thing in the 200 block of 3rd Street South that I saw him cleaning it up and diligently, so kudos to them as well. Thank you, Councilor Freely. Any other commission liaison or any other reports a councilor would like to give today? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a commission liaison report, but this would have to do with all commissions and their recommendations. And like we have been following, any discussion goes from any personnel committee or any committee meeting to the committee of the whole. And I would like to see any commission meetings then go to the, forward to the committee of the whole. I would say with, I guess, with respect, or how would you leave out the variance portion
You're
that
talking
goes
about
onto our consent
all
agenda?
commissions?
Yeah,
All commissions, okay,
yep,
thank
so
you.
that it's blanket, it's uniform,
Other than the planning and zoning request for variance. on
other than the
on
variance
consent agenda.
process that goes in our consent
Okay,
agenda.
is that in the form of a motion?
Yep, I would make that in a motion. So Pam, it would be, I would move to, after any commission meeting, that any recommendations go to the committee of the whole for further discussion from those commission meetings, just like they do our committee meetings.
Okay, thank you.
It would follow the same sequence.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councilor Paulson. Is there support?
I'll support for discussion.
Support for discussion. Further discussion first, Councilor Bachschnider, then over to Councilor Motley after she had her light on. No? Councilor Bachschnider.
Thank you. My only question, and it's probably more of a legal question, is what does our charter say that we can do? And is that a right process for us to follow within the charter?
Well, it is the right process for us to follow because commissions are under the charter are advisory. And so that comes back to us for approval, whether it's at the council level or at a committee of the whole level. It has to come back to the council to approve and discuss any recommendation moving forward. And the only reason I know that is I sit on the Charter Commission. We just discussed that last month, so good question. Okay. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, department head reports. Any department head that's in the audience today that would like to give a report, please come forward at this time. And welcome to the council meeting. Once again, our library director, Jody Grabinowski. Jody, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. So summer reading has started at the public library. There's still plenty of time to come get your summer reading booklet. The theme is Level Up. So if you feel like you're just starting out, that's great. If you want to be an explorer, or if you feel like you're an expert, doesn't matter. So there's all these different levels, but this week, so tomorrow we have book club. You can, if you haven't read the book, it doesn't matter, come hang out with us. The cool thing about the book club is we do have the author, J. Ryan Strandell is coming at the end of the month. He's coming the 26th. So we are discussing one of his books tomorrow. It's Lakeside Supper Club, but if you've read any of his other ones, you would be more than welcome to come join us. Also, if you're doing genealogy research, Regan will be in the event room at 4 o'clock. And then Friday, hopefully the weather will get a little warmer. We're having our outdoor bubble party, so if you want to come make some cool bubbles and have bubbles all over the front lawn of the library, that's where we'll be at 10:30. And then next week, the community scavenger hunt starts, so you can come pick up your scavenger. It's a booklet with all of your clues, so you can get that, and that runs from the 15th of June through the 15th of July. But next week, we do have quite a few things. We have story time. We do have a Rubik's Cube competition, so on Tuesday, the 17th, if you want to come try your luck, I will say that you probably have to be faster than 10 seconds. I think our fastest time was like 9. They're fast, so. And we have Anime Club. All of this is on our website. If you have any questions about this, please give us a call at 218-748-7525.
Thank you, Jody. Always a comprehensive report. Any other department head reports? We'll go from left to right. Britt, anything else to add? Pam, you got anything from the clerk's office? Jenny?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing along the line of storm sewer drains that popped into my head was that residents can always reach out to the North St. Louis Soil and Water Conservation District to adopt a drain. And that's something that I think would be beneficial for the whole city. So just a reminder.
Thank you. What kind of drains are you talking about?
Storm drains.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, because I got to drain my house. Okay, all right. Thank you, Jenny. Any other department head reports or staff reports? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to council reports. Does any city councilor have a report they'd like to give this evening? Councilor Freelieb?
This isn't a report, and I don't know if it's appropriate for this timing, but like, can we return to 9.1J for a moment? So, because I think my vote was misappropriated after the discussion, in part because I guess what I was doing is I realized this will be moving forward and it needs to move forward, but like I said, at the Personnel Committee meeting, I did express an issue or concern with regard to how it would impact an AFSCME current existing employee, which Amanda then brought forward to us today. And so out of courtesy to the union, I was just suggesting that I wouldn't support it at this point in time to allow me for further discussion with union in the future. So I would like to have my vote recorded as a no if I didn't have the time to do that.
Well, you didn't answer yes either, so.
I think I missed the opportunity. I had expressed that I was in opposition to it.
Can't go back once it's done? Well, for the record, you can express your concern in that regard, if you would, Councilor Freely.
As has been done. Thank you.
Has been done. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Okay. Okay, no other council reports? I have a number of them, but it'll only bring up one. No, just a reminder, June 6th was D-Day, the 81st anniversary of D-Day, and if you saw in the newspaper, you saw some of these World War II vets are still alive, making that trip to France, and if you haven't ever been there, it is a somber and awesome experience for moving forward. So everybody reminds that during World War II, D-Day was a day that will live on in infamy, as the president said once. And so just a reminder, remember all your veterans who died in that battle during D-Day. So anything else to come before the council today? If not, we will stand adjourned to our next council meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, June 24th at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Good night.